friends, Pastor Randy here. Great to be back with you today. Thank you for joining me for Making It Simple. On Monday, we kicked off a brand new teaching series. It's over. Or is it? We're basing this on the story of the interaction between Peter and Jesus after the resurrection. We're specifically tying in, looking in, diving in, if you will, into the emotional state that Peter was wrestling with and how that absolutely mimics a lot of the things that we struggle with in this life. So we pick up today, we're in John chapter 21. And we're specifically looking at verses 3 through, about 19, somewhere in that neighborhood. When we look at this conversation, we look at this interaction, I want you to follow with me in the journey. And I don't want you just to see Peter and Jesus. I want you to see you. Because this illustration, this story, it is so important about how we handle things. Specifically, life, we all know. None of us are exempt. No one is exempt. Life can be pretty difficult sometimes. And when we make some mistakes, I'm not justifying anything. But when we make some mistakes, we wrestle with that a lot, even if it's over, even if it's been forgiven, even if we've moved on past it. All the different things and cliches and statements, whatever we can make. Peter is a important illustration to each and every one of us as to how he dealt with it. And oftentimes how that mimics or mirrors the way that we deal with it. But here's what I want you to see. I want you to see how Jesus dealt with it. And that's the beautiful part of this story. And we will ultimately get to that end. But it's a journey along the way. And so we begin today looking from the passage here. John 21, we're going to begin at verse 3. I'm going fishing. Simon Peter said to them, "We're coming with you," they told him. They went out and they got in the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Now, you think, well, what implication, what importance is that? I want you to look at it. Follow me. Give me just a moment, and let's dive deeper than just the surface. Oftentimes on the surface, we do not get the full meaning. Now, again, what I explain and how I see it is logical, okay? Everything here at Making It Simple is from the life perspective. We are not deep diving theology here because what I'm finding, friends, I find so many people looking for meaning in this life. I said earlier in something else that I was doing today, everybody's looking for a better place. Everybody wants to get to a better place. But you can't get there if you don't believe it exists. Here's the reality. Peter was hurting because Peter was hurt. While be it by his own hands, he was wrestling with, can I get past this? It's over. I really messed up. I mean, can we move beyond this? And a lot of people don't. And a lot of people seemingly at least have convinced themselves they can't. But think about what Peter said here. I'm going fishing. Now, we can look at this from a couple of different angles. We can say, the heck with it. I don't even care anymore. I'm going fishing. Or I really need some time away. I really need to think about some stuff. I really need to go a little deeper in here. We can all relate to that. Either way, we can all relate to those kind of moments. Because if we're struggling with anything, and it doesn't matter what it is, it could be something personal, it could be something professional, health, financial, family, whatever, life in general, we all have something that we're wrestling with and struggling with. All of us needs time to reflect. Each one of us do. How we do that, the manner in which we do that, well, that's neither here nor there, because that's between you and what you feel and what you believe. In this particular case, we can take Peter's statement, I'm going fishing. Now, that was what he did, right? So he's going back to what is his comfort zone. He's going back to what he knows. But it's also a time of great reflection, a time of great, I need this. But then we read he didn't get to do it because he didn't get to go alone. They said, oh, we'll go with you. Well, he didn't tell them they couldn't. And as a result, we read the trip was a dud because it says they caught nothing. Now, again, could we look at this just from the literal, just from the surface and say, well, that means they didn't catch any fish? Yeah, absolutely. But we can also look at it from the logical. No answers were found. No peace was embraced. There were still some inner issues that Peter had not resolved. Every day that goes by, each and every one of us have a moment like that. Because we're always looking for answers, each and every one of us. We always are. And here's the thing, friends. They're there. You know, just in our series that we were just talking about looking for wisdom and seeking wisdom, and where the writer says it's like silver. We used and talked about that in the sense of it's there. We know that it's there. It exists. Silver, gold, all those things are there. But you have to look for them. They're not just always laying on the ground. I remember watching things change and evolve, if you will, over the years. And I remember when we were little kids, and they would have an egg hunt during springtime and whatever, and they would hide, and that's the key word there, hide the egg, and be in a bush or underneath a rock or whatever, and you had to go look for it to find it. And then I remember years ago, they would go out on like an open field and just dump them on the grass, and the kids would go by and see how many they collect. Well, there's no challenge to that. My point, when we're looking for something, when we're deep diving, and we're not just talking about emotions and feelings, we're talking about seeking an answer. And the reason we seek after something is we absolutely believe that it's there. It's not always on the surface. I've used many times this illustration about diving into the ocean in particular. Not as much fresh water because it's not as visible, but in the ocean, there are places where clarity is amazing. And clarity, I mean literal, in the visibility of the surface of the water is like, whatever. You go under it and it's like an entirely different world. I remember the very first time that I was able to do that in a diving, snorkeling, whatever kind of trip. And I was blown away. I couldn't believe it because the surface didn't look like that. When you got underneath, it was unreal. The colors and the majesty was just an amazing thing. That's what we're looking for in this life. Peter is struggling with, he really messed up. He denied Jesus. But what he's failing to see, he can't get past himself, is Jesus is still talking to him. It's not over. But only within himself did he feel like it was, because I really messed up. I've gone too far. I've really... So we see that he's looking. I'm going fishing. Well, we'll go with you. No answers were found. Nothing was concluded. It tells us the night passed. Friends, time stops for nobody. We know that. Time stops for no one. And so we will look as we come back tomorrow. It says that someone is from on the shore and calling out to them. Who was it? What was happening? We'll talk about that tomorrow when we come right back here at Making It Simple.